I wanted to do a quick video on this whole thing with certain Linksys routers, this potential security problem or vulnerability, and talk about Linksys' response to this security issue, security vulnerability, which I was not particularly impressed with. And I don't think many people are talking about this, and I feel like it deserves some attention. So anyways, let's just start at the beginning. For those that don't know, this really didn't get a lot of attention. It kind of popped up on a couple of tech news sites and blogs. And basically, it seems like this site, it seems like they've tested a bunch of Linksys routers and found some issues. Oh, okay. So it seems like it's a Belgian consumer protection and defense company. It looks like it's some kind of company that's doing, perhaps like in the United States, the CPSC, the Consumer Protection Safety, whatever CPSC stands for. Forgetting at the moment. Let's go back to the translated page here. So if there's things that are not correct, it's me reading this translated page. It seemed like this was being misreported initially, and a lot of discussion in tech publications were talking about how it was a security vulnerability that was somehow leaking your SSID and your Wi-Fi credentials like all the time. And then that changed, and it was, I'm not even going to show these because they were so confusing and poorly articulated. And I had to spend some time digging down to find this and translating it, and then realizing that it was specifically surrounding the behavior of the device during setup, during installation. It was specifically stating that during installation, the router sent several data packets to an Amazon server in the United States. These packages, I think they mean packets, but it could be the translation, contain configured SSID name and password in plain text, which is pretty lousy. No two ways about it. As well as identification tokens for this network within a broader database, as well as an access token for a user session that could potentially enable a man-in-the-middle attack. That's not good, but what they didn't articulate was this is during configuration if you use the app. Maybe they did mention it at some point. I don't see that specifically, but Linksys specifically mentions that. So if we go and look at Linksys' response to this, so here is Linksys' response to the ThyssenKrupp report, and this is where it gets a bit vague because they say it's reported by them, although it does not appear to have originated with them, nor have they confirmed or shown proof that they reproduced the issue. With any kind of vulnerability, security issue, there's usually a proof of concept test code. There's something submitted to demonstrate what this is, and so that's weird that they didn't provide any information according to Linksys, so take it with a grain of salt. But it goes a little bit weirder that says, to date, nobody other than Rapid7, who Linksys contracts to test our products, have ever been able to reproduce the issue, and only under a special lab circumstance, using specialized tools with unrestricted permissions for both the LAN and WAN. Okay, unrestricted permissions. There's a whole lot of technobabble in here, in my opinion, because why are they not just explaining what the specifics are around this thing as they patch it? They say prior to rereading through the below response, it's critical to understand Linksys' architecture and operations are unique to the industry. This is where I get really frustrated and a bit angry with Linksys, because they say we do not collect or store any device or user data generated by our home routers or Linksys mobile app, which is not true. I have tested the Linksys mobile app, and all you got to do is look at the iOS app privacy report, and it tells you there's information being sent back to Google and to other providers when you're using that Linksys mobile app, which is disappointing, which I'll put screenshots up here showing it. So it's not something that's just, I'm just saying, you can test it yourself. If using the Linksys mobile app, select data elements are used during installation and configuration, but never stored or observed by Linksys. Again, see the app privacy report. If using the browser-based local user interface, none of the data used for installation, configuration, or ongoing operation is ever seen, much less stored by Linksys. It all stays local on your device. Okay, that would be cool if it were true. My biggest gripe is this Linksys mobile app and the fact that it is very much sending data to other places. Again, next, they talk about the process of that they received the report from Rapid7 in September of last year regarding a low probability security configuration concern. Okay, fine. So they submitted something in September of last year. They say that in November, marketing forwarded an email from another I don't know what which is. I'll have to check that later on. Using the exact same wording to Rapid7 to Linksys development. This is written very bizarrely. no punctuation. And also I should add, this whole thing is in editable mode. I can go here and just type on anything. So I can just delete text. I can go here and edit and make this say anything I want to. So let's continue. They say that the exposure assessment of a low probability security issue reported by Test and Coop. My apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. So they show two SKUs, the Velop Pro 6E, which is what I'm using, and the Linksys Velop Pro 7, which looks just like the 6E. It's just Wi-Fi 7 instead of 6E. Exploit the security configuration issue, which is confined to the WAN ISP side. The bad actor would require highly specialized tools along with real-time physical access to the home router and full visibility and permission to traverse the ISP network. So that there's some validity there. Like you have to know the person's IP address or be scanning a bunch of IPs and then looking for that public IPs in order to be able to get at the potential data there, and probably catch the device in a particular mode where it's in an installation or configuration mode. And then they show that this low probability real world risk, these terms and things are being scored as far as their severity. There's I'm forgetting the names of this stuff now, I'll put it down at the bottom. There's common severity ratings for CVEs. There's a way to go about doing this that is specific for all of these things, for computer operating systems, all these different devices. But Linksys is using some kind of internal metric. They're going like, oh, it's a P3 S3 issue, a priority 3, severity 3. This is not public knowledge. None of this information is provided to the public. So it's a very bizarre thing that they've decided to articulate it in this way, which makes it more frustrating. They say that Linksys took action, and then they claim that P3 S3 issues are routinely fixed in 6 to 9 months after being reported. This is what's bonkers to me. They don't define any of the other priority severity. It seems like they just kind of made this up. Like, oh, priority 3, severity 3, yeah, it's 6 to 9 months after being reported. This seems ridiculous. They're saying that they're making changes server side, firmware independent, that their control rollout of a server side configuration change that prevents the reported security configuration issue. Okay, again, if you're using local only and never download the app and only connect to the device via your local network through your browser, it never touches this. Linksys client side change. They did recently just roll out a new firmware, and it came out, I think, the 24th of July. I had to go back and check on it. I just patched. And continuing with this, there's another bonkers claim that they make. The thing I wanted to point out was that local UI browser-based router configuration. Linksys continues to promote local UI browser-based installation and configuration instead of using the Linksys mobile app. That to me is total BS, because Linksys goes out of their way to make it very difficult to get to the local user interface and allow you to interact with it without creating an account. So that continues to promote, you have to know to click on the little phone thing and then it will let you log in. If you go to the IP address of your router, it tells you to download the app, not to mess around with this local UI browser-based installation. So anyways, to wrap this up, this response by Linksys is not great. There's things in here that I take direct issue with the way that they're responding to, and perhaps nobody cares. I don't know, but I do because I own one of these, and I'm sure there are people that own these, the Velop Pro 6C and the Velop Pro 7, that once they realize what Linksys is saying in this kind of buried away press release is cause for some concern. I wouldn't say just throw out all your Linksys stuff, but I wanted to provide some context in a space where it seemed like there wasn't much discussion on this. So yeah, here's the scoop on Linksys. Well, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.